Acolytes. Ref is doing some community notes shenanigans. So, let's just hear him out because those are always fun. I'm gonna be honest, this is just purely out of pure fun, uncensored things. It's just, he finds the freakiest things here. So, I just...
Hey, what's up guys, Rip here. Welcome back to another edition of Community Notes, Violating People.
Hell
In
yeah.
case you don't know how this works, this is a communal fact check system on Twitter where qualified users can leave a note underneath a tweet providing additional context. And
Yes.
if that note gets enough upvotes from the community, it is publicly applied to the tweet, often leading to very funny results. Now, today is a special edition because with only a few days left in the month, there was two main segments I wanted to cover. Another Community Notes segment, as well as a segment covering some major drama going on in the English voice acting scene. And of course, as it turns out, some of those actors and related parties have been hit with notes. So bada bing, bada boom, we got a 2-for-1 special today covering those two various segments in just one video. So what are we talking about today? Well, primarily Genshin Impact voice actors as well as Hoyoverse as a whole, and also the entire English voice acting scene that is unfortunately very prone to drama, and today is no different. So what's going on here in a nutshell? Basically, a voice actor for Genshin goes on strike for a union-related cause and is eventually replaced by Hoyoverse, and the person who replaced them, a Japanese-based voice actor, they would then get attacked by their peers for violating the picket line of this boycott that they don't even know existed in the first place, and this led to their own colleagues publicly shaming and harassing this individual, even claiming they're going to be blacklisted from the industry. As you can see, complete mess, and there's a lot to consume in this video. And speaking of consuming, if you want to consume some very delicious meals, you should check out today's sponsor. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, the Giga Chats at...
And by the way, I'm just gonna say it, disgusting behavior. I mean, for F's sake, if you wanna do something for your cause, do it. I don't care. Doesn't concern me. Simple as that. Because acolytes, at the end of the day, for F's sake, it's always, everybody thinks that their problems and their, well, wee-wees are your problem. That's not the case. You're actually your own person in this case. If you do something and people join you, that's a different story. But in this case, people just want to virtue signal. There isn't anything particularly brave or actually good about it. It's just somebody that acts purely in his or in their own freaking interest by stomping on other people that actually got a chance of getting a job after somebody else actually fucked up. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't care. Especially voice actors these days. There are innocents, by the way. I know there are normal people out there, but yeah, no, not a lot.
To start the rest of this video, I want to begin with this post right here from a voice actor named Jean Patnode. I am definitely not pronouncing that correctly, but they made this post saying, "Hey everyone, if you've been playing the latest 5.5 update in Genshin Impact and are hearing Kanish speak for the first time in 6 months, it's not my voice, I've been recast. I've been withholding voiceover services during the SAG-AFTRA interactive strike because Hoyo/Cognosphere wouldn't offer AI protections in the form of a SAG interim agreement. They'd kept my character's dialogue silent for months. All the while, I had made the difficult decision to continue not going in until an interim agreement was signed, and this ultimately was why I was recast." So basically, to make this very simple, they went on strike for this SAG-AFTRA cause that we'll look at in just a second, and refused to work for 6 months straight. And then they were recast. Because obviously, MiHoYo would do that. They need someone to voice this character. And what we're talking about here is SAG.
Imagine going to your job, acolytes, not working for 6 months, and they're still accepting them to keep you, pay you, and not replace you. If you didn't know what entitlement is, this is the purest form of it.
After. This is basically the union for voice actors in America. There's pretty much no alternative. And lately, they've had this big push to basically what I believe is Trojan horse concerns about AI to bring in more people into the union. I don't think they're very sincere in their concerns about AI. I think they're doing this to try to get more people into their union, which comes with financial benefits for the union itself. And you can see right here, this is a post that they made, essentially sharing a post by another voice actor, encouraging people to support the strike, everything related to it. But they got hit with a community note saying, this agreement has severe limitations on how MiHoYo can work with non-union voice actors, including a lifetime limit for the voice actor and eventually forcing the voice actor to either join the union, which has large entry costs and fees, or stop working on the project. So people believe these interim contracts they're pushing for could lead into a full-time gig or full-time role inside of the union, which is a very costly one. As you can see, there's a $3,000 initiation fee, which, by the way, English voice actors do not make a lot of money, so $3,000 is a big blow. And eventually, they also will be giving over 1.5% of their covered earnings up to $1 million. So there's definitely a financial incentive for this union to get more people to join. So putting pressure on MiHoYo and the people working for them to join the union definitely gives some financial benefits to the union itself. Now, returning to the original post here, you can see other voice actors like this Brianna individual, who is a voice actor for Hu Tao, as well as Demon Slayer and ReZero. They say, clears throat, some of us shaking my effing head. So you can see there is a very great divide. When this post was made and the next post we looked at, or we're going to look at, voice actors from Genshin Impact and really the scene as a whole started jumping this individual right here, Jacob Takanashi. And if you look at his bio here, you can see he is a Tokyo-based voice actor who also does English voice acting roles. That is a very important thing to keep in mind.
And by the way, multiple languages. It's way, way, way rarer than I actually thought. Or at least in Germany here. There aren't a lot of people that speak 2 languages or not even thinking about 3 as I do. That's something very, very rare that I didn't realize that's actually rare. So, yeah.
He recently got the recasting role here, and you can see he has this role announcement. I'm honored to join the English cast of Genshin Impact as the voice of Kanish. Taking up the mantle is a privilege, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to carry the flame from the previous flame bearer, John, who did an incredible job. Those are big shoes to fill, and I promise to give it my all out of respect for him, for Hoyoverse, and for you, the fans. Seems very appreciative. What could possibly go wrong here? Well, the voice actors started flooding in, including his own colleagues at Genshin Impact. An individual here, a voice actor named Ben Callens, says this is so wrong. So wrong. You stole a job from someone fighting for all of our rights, yours included. The disrespect from you to play this off like it was a gift to you is sick. I hope it was worth it, because I guarantee not a lot of people will ever want to work with you again. You can see this language that'll be repeated over and over again about basically this guy now blackballing his career by taking up this role. And just look at the bio of these individuals.
Before we look at the bio, just gonna say the following, my dear... Okay, just... Oh, for fuck's sake. Your body wouldn't even be good for a zombie servant. Okay. The pendulum swings in a different way. Wait 5 to 10 years and nobody will want to work with you. And nobody will even cry about it. And that's beautiful.
24 years old, trans man, indigenous, he, him pronouns, pride flags, hashtag Black Lives Matter, hashtag Trans Lives Matter, hashtag Free Palestine. Like, are you selling me an agenda, or are you trying to promote yourself as a voice actor? I mean, many such cases here.
Yeah.
But here's another set of posts shared by this Twitter user right here saying, it seems Candace's VA, Shara Kirby, has announced she'll be quitting or seems to be completely done with Genshin. So you can see some of her posts saying, This has got to be the most classless thing I've seen with everything going on. Have fun with Genshin. You'll never work on anything else. Laughing my effing A off. It's also interesting how they're recording in Japan for English dub now. Wow, cool. Go ahead and recast me too while you're at it. F Hoyo, disrespectfully. So this was posted on Blue Sky, where all the hive mind goes to basically congregate. And this person is basically resigning from Hoyoverse. And it's
I would take it instantly. If I was the boss of this woman, I would take this Twitter post, present her to her, and say, good, you're done. Because there are a lot of different people, other people, that will do a really good job, that are looking for a job right now, that aren't as entitled as you are, and they will do a good job. So I don't need you. F off.
Their new peer and making some very outrageous statements that would also be reflected in other posts. But here's another individual, Luis Bermudez, who also has me blocked, saying, my hope is you were misled and weren't fully aware that John was withholding his work to fight for a better future for actors everywhere. If that's the case, you have the opportunity to do the funniest thing right now. But if not, and you continue in this role, yikes, man. So again, implying that something really bad's going to happen to their career if they don't bend to the will of the union.
Yes.
On top of that, you can see this pressure being put on to do the funniest thing right now, which would be to give up the role. So it's basically give up the role and make all of us happy, or you're a scab and you're a bad person, and we're going to blackball you from the industry.
And just compare those two things. Either Jacob just drops everything he has just to make them happy, probably loses a lot of opportunities, loses the trust of the company that he's working right now, loses the opportunity to actually show that he can do the job properly, and just gets some experience in this. By the way, this is also very important, and he gets shit for it. Or he's gonna bow to the mob that's gonna be happy for him for a while, and then he still loses every opportunity he has because he already left the job. And as soon as the mob gets, well, a little bit scratchy down in the genital area, again with the sand in a certain part of theirs, they still gonna burn him. I would say every single one of those entitled pieces of, well.
Very tolerant, but here's some more posts from Luis Bermudez. People have to keep food on the table, but you have to draw the line somewhere. Stealing food off of someone else's plate is probably where I draw that.
Yeah, I think you stole more than enough food for yourself, Eddie.
That line. Yes, because once the strike begins, that would be a struck project. The only way it wouldn't be scabbing is if the project was signed to an interim agreement, which is just a promise to agree to the terms that SAG-AFTRA negotiates with the studios. So, basically we have the standard of if they have the interim agreements, then it's all good. But this guy's saying Takanashi is taking food off the table of other people, which doesn't really make sense because nobody's supposed to be working at all. So the role would be vacant, so I guess you wouldn't be really taking food from anyone, but that's the sort of attitude here. There's a very small exception, and don't worry, plenty of voice actors are taking these exceptions in order to keep playing roles while judging others for taking roles, but we'll see that in just a second. Now here's another voice actor, this Ruben Lack individual, saying, dude, really classless move considering an actor was fighting for AI protections on this job. I appreciate folks want the paycheck, but they should know crossing a picket line is an immediate and permanent black mark. Let me say that last part again. Crossing a picket line is an immediate and permanent black mark. Now, a little bit, we're going to see other voice actors shaming Jacob Takanashi who are crossing the picket line, but they're doing it because they have a special excuse for it.
Yeah, of course.
But anyways, I want to move to this individual, this Corina individual who is a voice actor, has also done roles for Genshin Impact, and they have some of the most ridiculous takes on this whole thing. So they replied to Jacob's post saying, this wasn't a passing of the torch, which is very passive-aggressive, unprofessional, and rude. But further on, they say this: there is a huge difference when you take the role of an actor who is striking for AI protections. You are no castmate of mine. Oh, how stunning and brave. You can see a proposed note, which should be upvoted just like everyone.
Definitively stunning. I am always stunned for a second when I hear stuff like this.
One of these posts, by the way. But this individual with 4,500 likes said, I don't think I understand. You're directing hate to the recasted person while also being able to comfortably work on the same project you are criticizing. Why are you not also participating in the strike? So I thought maybe this was a misunderstanding. There's no way someone's this blatantly hypocritical where they are shaming someone else for taking a role at Genshin while also serving a role themselves actively. Well, they just straight up admit it. They say, no, you're right. I am technically scabbing. I originally have this role, and technically I can still work this role. I am disabled, and this is the job that puts food on the table as I am actually, as I actually record this role year round. But I didn't take this role from another person who, yada, 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 is striking. I had this role, and I am stuck in it, I guess. They're stuck because I have no other way to pay for my medical bills. But yes, technically I am a scab, and you're right. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. And they go on and on and on. So this person basically admits to being a scab. They are continuing to work with Genshin because they have this little exception because they accepted this role before the strike. So technically they can keep working.
Yeah.
And they say, my personal situation in my life, my situations, excuse me, because I need the money. Which is so crazy because you don't know the lives of everyone else here. You don't know the life of Jacob Takanashi. You don't know his personal circumstances. And you're telling him, no, you can't take the money. And in this case, wouldn't this be taking food off the plates of other people like that other voice actor had just said 2 seconds ago? It's incredibly hypocritical. Now, you remember that line you just heard? This wasn't a pass.
You know what the freaking worst thing is? Instead of just saying, I just want the pay. It is what it is. No, the effing excuses. Excuse after excuse after excuse. If you're being a freaking asshole, just be an asshole. Own it. Don't be an asshole and then pretend that you're a good person.
Passing of the torch. Well, that would be used by PC Gamer and really a hit piece on Takanashi, where they have this headline, Diabolical. Genshin Impact's English cast gives new voiceover the cold shoulder after he frames replacing a striking actor as an opportunity to carry the flame. In quotes, this wasn't a passing of the torch, end quote. So they're obviously citing that previous voice actor, and I find all of this very funny because this entire article tries to frame it as if the previous guy, the previous actor for this character, had been playing the character for 5+ years, which Genshin, I'm not even sure, has been around for 5+ years, but the character was only introduced just over a year ago. So they are completely misrepresenting the situation in this article and gaslighting people into believing this guy's had the role for 5+ years when that's not even possible, by the way. But don't worry, other voice actors in the scene would share this article as a way to flame John Takanashi. And you can see right here, another voice actor who has me blocked. They say this: lost 400 followers for a couple of thumbs down and calling out entitlement in a fan base. Oh well, it is what it is. I appreciate everyone who's thought critically and supports what's going on and has integrity. This article actually puts it really eloquently. So they're saying this about thinking critically and having integrity and all these things, but sharing this PC Gamer article, which also has a note that should be upvoted, by the way. Sharing comments like this.
I'm going to say the following. Nobody gives a single fuck about you losing 400 followers. Get shafted. F you. Just no.
This from this individual saying, waiting for voicing the character for half a decade. LMAO, the article made a mistake, a clear mistake, but they're sharing this anyway, and they know it's a mistake, and they just don't care because they think you're just going to blindly accept what's going on here. Now, there's another comment by a different voice actor named Kaylee Mills, responding to the previous one saying, "Thank you for speaking up. Being on the right side of history feels nice. Anyone who says this, major red flag." But Valeria would say this, "Followers just a number anyways. I think about what little kid me would think if I stayed silent or played nice. And I know she'd be disappointed. I'm happy to speak up, even if I get 8 billion people wishing me ill and calling me slurs." Wow, the eternal victims in the English voice acting scene. They never cease to amaze me. But let's focus now on this Kaylee Mills individual. This person, very interesting, featured on the thumbnail of today's video. You can see their reply to the original announcement of the role saying, "This is actually kinda diabolical. If you need the money, at least take the role uncredited. This just comes off as an easy grab for clout. It's not a good look." Imagine these people talking about clout chasing. These are the biggest clout goblins in the universe, by the way. But this also throws their other voice acting companion under the bus because they say if you need the money, at least take the role uncredited. Well, the previous person who took the role and said, I technically could, they didn't do that uncredited, so they're violating this standard as well. And you can see the note that's applied saying, according to the voice actor Nathan Noakes, fellow VA Jacob Takanashi, who is a Japan-based VA, had no knowledge of the strike or the circumstance of which the role was being recasted. So yeah, once again, a classic American move here, a narcissist thinking the whole world knows about their strike. This person thinks, surely if it's important to my life here in America, everyone must know about it, but that is not the case. Jacob Takanashi, living in Japan, did not know about this SAG-AFTRA strike, and why would he, right? Why would he? But these people don't stop for 1 second to understand the circumstances of this man. And thank God, one voice actor, Nathan Noakes, credit to him, actually reached out to the voice actor and said, right, I spoke to the new VA who lives and works in Japan, and he didn't even know what was going on. He came into an onslaught of criticism and didn't know anything about the strike or SAG, since SAG isn't in Japan. Blows my mind. Referring to the absolute onslaught of attacks this person has faced for violating a strike they didn't even know existed. Now, going back to Kaylee Mills here, the narcissism and the...
I'm gonna be honest, at this point it doesn't even surprise me. That's just what happens if you virtue signal constantly without actually thinking about it. It would be one thing if you just make a mistake like that and then just continue and be like, okay, sorry, I effed up this one, I got too emotional, this was a mistake. No, virtual signal, do as much damage as you can, and then just piss off. Just because you can without any real consequences. I really wish this would be different. Just blacklist those fuckers out of their jobs. Just let them... Acolytes, you know how I think about it. Just people like this, just don't let them in the workforce. Let people who actually want to do their work have their peace in doing their work, and the rest can just go and get shafted.
Delusions go through the roof. So in response to this post saying, I like Kecking the character they voice, basically like, I don't like you whining about this stuff. It makes me look at the character different. Where Kaylee Mills responds saying, I guarantee you Kecking would be doing the work to educate people and do what's best for the people. The absolute narcissism of using the character you're voicing to match up with your political goals. Absolutely insane behavior. And to make this worse, they make this super long-winded post here with the replies locked, of course, and another proposed note because they're gaslighting. They basically say all this stuff about, man, it's so bad what Jacob Takanashi's doing, and it's so horrible, and how could we forgive someone like this for basically putting us in a terrible situation, throwing us all under the bus for a quick paycheck, yada, yada, yada. Where people began to bring up this post from 2020, where Kaylee Mills had this to say. If ever there's been proof that people can change, it's this. I have personally witnessed the incredible amount of hard work Chris has put into bettering himself, despite the negativity he was constantly receiving, and it has most definitely paid off. Now, what is she talking about? Well, she's referring to this post by an actor named Chris Niosi. Now, Chris Niosi was in trouble because, by his own admission, he was emotionally abusive to other people and also was coercive in some of his sexual activities. His words, not mine. And they're forgiving this individual for that stuff, but are now basically saying what Jacob Takanashi did, violating a strike he didn't even know existed, is unforgivable. That is the level of delusions we are dealing with here, and it's absolutely insane. And speaking of delusions and goalpost shifting and all that stuff, here's another crazy attempt people are making to try to say that Jacob knew about this all the time. He knew about this whole strike. And what they're referring to here is a post of him saying, using an AI voice for your commercial and yada 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 makes it subpar. So basically saying AI can affect the quality of a product. Where this person says Jacob is lying. Mind you, these are tweets from September of 2023, which again wasn't that long ago. He knows all about the strikes that have been, that have and are happening. He's just saving face, so he looks like the victim to the Hoyo kiss-ass fans. The gaslighting is off the charts. The dude's just talking about AI. There's no reference whatsoever to the SAG-AFTRA strikes, but this person is trying to lie to you while claiming Jacob's lying and saying that this post is proof he's known about the strike all along. It's absolute nonsense, and that is going to wrap up this segment of...
As always, just disgusting behavior in that community. That's just... I really hope there is a broader thing where this just isn't anything that it's purely on Twitter or on social media. Let's just say it specifically like that, because this is just disgusting behavior. If I'm gonna be honest, if I were a company, I would look every single Twitter feed of every single one of them. If I see shit like that, okay, fired. Not even interacting with you. And if they ask why, show them their Twitter feed and be like, here, that's why. I'm gonna blacklist you from everyone I know. Just so you know that your actions have actual consequences. But as it is, acolytes, good night.